All right, this is also a bit of a non-demo, um, and even less of a non-demo than some of the others. But one of the thing, and probably is actually an internal demo, so I'll also preface with that. It's just going to show off a couple of our internal things. But I wanted to share a little bit what we're doing for the one of the customer use cases that was talked about earlier. So for bursting, for large numbers of schedules that are being distributed and wanting to come up with ways to, we'll call safely do this. Instead of what we have today, which is sort of a shared queue with all of the work that goes on it, we wanted to come up with ways to protect not only ourselves and our other customers from one customer who distributes lots of emails all at one time, but also sort of protect that customer sort of from themselves so that when they send these large quantity of emails, it doesn't say block their other interactive work. So what's going to go on here is going to be really dumb because all I'm going to do is press a button here, and eventually, when I kind of keep talking, we'll see it show up in over here. But hopefully, but basically, what's happening here is that we've set up a dedicated single tenant worker for this particular organization, which is my my sandbox instance, right? For the scheduler. So basically, any work that comes through, we can see it showed up. Any work that comes through the scheduler for this particular use case will go to this dedicated queue for it with dedicated workers, which potentially are much more limited if we want to limit the concurrency against a customer's data warehouse or something like that. When and they come through and do the exact same thing, we'll still use all the rest of our multi-tenant architecture for the rendering and the delivery and all of that stuff, but the query execution layer will be kind of partitioned off and dedicated for them. Again, this is really, really stupid to see because there's really not all much that's happening, but you can see we have now an extra model worker here for my single tenant JScheduler right there. And then looking here, you can see that there's a couple of non-schedules here that are executed against the model worker service, and then a couple that also executed against the JScheduler service. So pretty simple there. There's definitely still a lot more in flight, but I figured I would show some progress here. Including like it doesn't work with a bunch of stuff yet, but still working through some of those. But hopefully it will give us a tool in our tool chest to allow us to support sort of large use cases sort of more safely without risk to a customer or other customers on our multi-tenant instance.